dude. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. I'm very excited. Thank you, Jeremy,
Yeah, let
for
me,
doing this.
dude. It's this stuff's super fun to me, man. Oh, how do I keep your? Oh, see, now I'm running into these like weird tech. There we go. Stay on top. There. Yes. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to switch over to your portfolio now. Um. Oh, dude, this is awesome. I might hide myself if uh, if our cameras are taking up too much space. But would you like to introduce yourself and just talk about how you got into what you're doing and what your plans are going forward?
Sure. I'm Corwin Robinson. I live in the Seattle area. I started doing 3D like 10-ish years ago at the end of middle school, and then kept like slowly doing it in high school. Kind of hit a plateau. Went to Have you heard of DigiPen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh
went
yeah,
to DigiPen for the art degree. Definitely started to like learn and get a lot better throughout school. I wish I could have been one of those people that just didn't go to school and learned off of tutorials, but the structure was very helpful. Um, got to work on a couple student projects and like game stuff throughout the years. Cyrus Ascent, those things on my portfolio is the one that ended up on Steam.
dude, that's awesome
Um,
actually to be able to
I've been,
ship something.
yeah, it was super cool. It was a great experience. And then, like, throughout the years of working on other teams at school, I also got to experience like teams dissolving and people getting fired, and just ideas not working. So it was it was really cool. Um,
The real
I've
stuff.
been graduated for about a year
Mm-hmm.
and slowly working on my portfolio. I spent probably like the first 6 months after graduating finishing the project with the chair in it, because that was a school project, but it wasn't where I wanted it to be. And I was kind of burnt out from school, so I like would work on it for a little bit, and then took a couple months break, and then worked on it, and then took a
Yeah.
break and worked on it. Um, and then now I'm working on like smaller projects and starting to plan out outdoor natural environment.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah, we can
yeah,
probably look at that at the end here. Um, but dude, that's so you've been doing this for a bit then. When did you say you started like messing around with 3D?
about 10 years ago ish.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
I guess if
got
we
a
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I have a fun little tweet on my Twitter that's when there was a bunch of people doing comparisons of old work, and it's my first thing that I ever did compared to newest.
Oh yeah, those are always
It's
cool to look
fun
at.
to look at those.
But yeah, so okay, so we've got four pieces on your portfolio. I'm assuming you've hidden stuff as well.
Yes, I was gonna leave it like this for a second so you can see what's here now, and then I was gonna put stuff back on because I had more things on it
Hmm.
up until like a couple weeks ago. I got some feedback from someone who works or used to work at a studio that I want to work at in the area, and they suggested removing quite a few things and then just working more on getting a really good project done.
Right.
Should I go ahead and put those up?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be curious to
Okay.
see like what all is here. I'm gonna hide my camera because you can take my spot. This is really cool though. It's nice to see like your thumbnails are very organized or like tidy if you want to say it that way. Let me know
Yeah.
when I should refresh your portfolio because I don't know
All
how
right,
much
just
you
a
want to go
sec.
through this stuff, but we'll dig around. Dude, what time is it for you? It's I guess it's 11.
Yeah,
Yeah,
11 a.m. Had a nice morning. Walked up to local bakery, got some croissants.
the Seattle life.
Yeah, I am recently unemployed, so I've been enjoying much more free time.
Yeah, is that were you at a studio or what? Like, what was the?
No, I haven't gotten a studio job yet. For a while after graduating, well, first I worked at a summer camp and then didn't do anything for a while. You can refresh again.
All right.
And then I worked at a bank because that was the only job I could get, and it was miserable and depressing, and I hated it.
Yeah.
And then I got a job for the last like 3 months. I was working at an alternative school, like a very small private school for special needs and kids on the autism spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a one kid's one-to-one, did like the whole day with him, mostly helped him with math in the morning, and it was very like a loose structure to do as much learning as we could, but took lots of breaks and
Yeah.
didn't do as much learning as most schools. I loved it. It was great, but it was owned by a like for-profit healthcare agency.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called UHS, and we weren't making enough money, so they closed 2 locations and merged everyone to one school location in Tacoma.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
I am looking for other jobs.
Yeah. Okay. 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 So looking at your portfolio, um, I can see. So the quality is pretty good on the stuff that you hid, but I can see that it does refine your portfolio a bit more. Is there of the ones that you hid? Is there one that you're hesitant about hiding, or did it feel
Mm,
right to hide them? I guess you're just trusting, and you're like, yeah, okay.
I think it felt right.
Mm,
Part of me wanted to like go back and update like the boot project. I never got snow on the boots like I originally wanted, um, and like scratches on the door from a theoretical dog and stuff like that. But I also feel like for it to be worthy of staying, I would need to not just add a couple things, but also remake a lot of it. So I
mm.
kind of feel like just hiding it and just going with, whatever comes next.
Yeah, there's a lot of like when I look at this one. So first, the rug is really good. I don't know if that's like
Thank you.
palm on there. It looks like it might be parallax occlusion.
It's in marmoset, so it's
Oh,
just
so it's
tessellation.
straight up tessellation. Dude,
Yeah.
it kind of looks like parallax occlusion, which is you can get away with this type of stuff with palm. But yeah, it's I think the things that are sticking out to me is the materials overall, and then like the boots feel really narrow. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it's just like they would need to be widened and retextured. So a lot of like what you're saying, but this is like what this is 2 years old. So let's
Couple
see,
years old.
yeah, and then we've got like the large rock. So I like that you were doing dioramas early on because it allows you to focus on very like specific things. Like,
Yeah, and those two are
mm,
actually physical.
oh, what,
So they kind of, yeah, they don't like completely mix with everything because they're physical. They're carved out of
dude?
insulation
This
foam, except for this one includes a couple 3D printed objects.
that's pretty cool. So the 3D printed objects you did yourself, or did you print
Yeah.
them?
Yeah, I sculpted them in ZBrush, and then I think my teacher
Ah, I
did the
see.
printing for us. But
Man, that's super cool. This so it's like a mixed. Oh man, that's yeah,
yeah,
that's
it
pretty rad,
was a
man.
really cool class. My teacher that taught that class worked on a couple Leica movies for his internship at one point.
Mm. Dude, this is cool. I actually did not expect that because the way that the backdrop is, and the way that the surfaces are reading with the lighting, it looks exactly like you would expect like a stylized render to kind of come off as.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really intriguing. This is nice too with you showing a lot of your references. Oh wow, it's even bigger than I thought too. That's that's awesome. That's super cool, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something really fascinating when you can see something that's physically made. And you said the large rock is also one that was is
Yeah.
physical.
I want to do a project where I scanned this a while ago, but I haven't done anything with it. So I wanted to do some sort of project in Unreal Engine with the scan and some water around it. I just haven't gotten to that.
Right. So this looks like you are doing a lot of like dry brushing and whatnot, like a lot of
Yeah.
techniques that you would use on like say Warhammer stuff, or like
Yeah,
miniatures.
it was a lot of miniature techniques for sure.
It's interesting how much of those carry over into like Substance Painter.
Yeah.
So okay, when one of the ones that you kept was the snail on the branch. I guess this is the shell
Mhm.
that you scanned as well, or that you 3D
Yeah,
printed.
yeah, I used it again for that.
Nice.
And I think this one, the person that gave me feedback, this was one of the ones they suggested getting rid of, but I decided to keep it because I felt like it was the
Interesting.
best representation of designer stuff I've done so far. Um, but I might, I don't know, do you think I should keep it for a while or should I remove it once I finish whatever next designer thing I'm doing?
Oh, the shell thing is cool. The way you set up the shader. Um, I think right now keeping it is totally fine. I think it should be maybe once the next piece, like you're saying, is been published, then it's like,
Hmm.
oh, okay. Now you could probably like remove what you feel like is the weakest. The thing that sticks out for me that feels a little strange is just the shape of the branch
Yeah.
that the snail's on. But your ability to blend the fake environment in to the to the actual geometry is pretty nicely done. And I guess the like the god rays maybe feel a little forced,
Okay.
but yeah, I when I see the topology, I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty dense. It's like you
Very
probably don't
dense,
need
yeah.
that much geometry for what you're displaying, at least for the trunk part. Um, and then for the materials, is this like the bark material? Oh, you were using Javier, nice Javier Perez realistic mossy
Yeah,
wall
so
tutorial.
originally I just made like a very basic one. If you scroll up,
Hmm.
the picture on the left is what came out of Alchemist or Sampler.
Hmm.
Um, and then felt like it was very repetitive and boring, so I used Javier's tutorial as I was learning designer to make it better.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like, so you're using Alchemist, I guess. You were bringing in your own photo? Is
Yeah,
that the idea? So one thing I'm
yeah.
noticing a lot of is you're doing a lot of mixing, which is actually really cool. Um, this one is 2 years older, but it's like it's really interesting to see that you're playing around with multiple media types in order to get the results you want. Um, the fact that you're using designer on top to get the variety or variation that you're looking for is really nice. And then it looks like you did
Been having a
some,
lot of fun with designer.
yeah. Is it something that like how much fun are we talking? Like,
Oh, well, it's all I've been doing in the last like month or two. I've been working on making some tiles that I saw at a open house because I don't know, they just looked really nice. But it's kind of like sculpting and just it's a nice way to turn off the brain and make something.
mm, oh, this is really interesting. I like the shell as well. It just has like a nice feeling to it. Um, but yeah, let's keep digging through here. So the Ascent project, what was your? Because you said it was like a big group, right? Or was it a team?
Yeah, yeah. So the way DigiPen is structured is our sophomore year we made teams and made a 2D project, and then junior year we formed teams and made a 3D project. Um, and so I was not on this team for junior year. I was on a different team, and so junior year is 2 semesters of well, 1 semester of pre-production, and then making a prototype, and then the second semester is fleshing out the prototype, and then your first semester of senior year is polishing,
Right.
and then not all of the teams get greenlit to polish, so some dissolve and then join other teams. My team did get greenlit, but there was a lot of things we needed to fix or go back and change.
Right.
So it was going to be like a lot more work, and we wouldn't get as much polish done. So we all decided to just dissolve and join other teams, so we could get the chance to polish. So I just was on this team for 1 semester. At the end, helping them polish. They already had like a lot done, so I just got to come on the team, and they're basically like, "What kind of stuff do you like to work on? These are the things we need help with
Right.
finishing." So I got to kind of pick and choose what I wanted to do, and then help them out in areas.
Oh, here's your.
I told them I wanted to do like organic stuff.
Yeah. So you're doing a lot of rocks and just the environmental like natural things.
Yeah. So originally this had like a mechanic where you would stand in the pool to regen your magic, but
Hmm.
then in design it got changed for the flow of it. But we kept it as just kind of a pretty little landmark.
Nice. Yeah. I'm. The waterfall that you did here, it's like it's again it's showing your I guess your urge or your interest in like mixing how you're doing stuff. Like you're like, oh, I'll just simulate the water and then I'll
Yeah.
I'll just get alphas from that and like that'll give me everything that I need. I guess it'll give you like if you flip book it, you can animate that whole process as well.
Yeah, yeah. For a while, I was trying to just use footage of waterfalls and like bringing down the levels to make an alpha from that, but all of the footage I could find online was really crappy, and I couldn't find like the right water
Right.
myself. So I just simulated it, played with that piece for making different shapes, and then yeah, it's just the frames, and then I used I think Texture Packer to make a sprite sheet.
Right.
It's a sprite sheet animation in Unreal, and then I had to like go into Photoshop to kind of make it more of a seamless loop. Uh, it
Oh,
was a lot of fun
that's
to
yeah,
try
that's
and make
really
that work.
cool. Yeah, it's a lot like basically effects artists usually are the ones kind of dealing with like how to manage this, or it'll be on like the props team to make the mesh of it, and then the effects artist is helping emphasize uh, that it feels like a fluid.
Yeah.
One thing you could do if you ever had to do this again is to use liquid that kind of is like milk with like a black backdrop, and then
Oh
that
yeah.
gives you just because it's really opaque, you'll end up seeing more of it. But I think this approach is you can get a lot more off of this, like normal information and whatnot. But it's really cool. So what I'm seeing when I look at this project, so this is posted last year. Um, so there's a lot of sculpting that you're putting in these posts. Is did you texture as well, or like how was the
No, I was
interesting?
just
Okay,
responsible for the meshes. Someone else was doing. They already had a lot of texture and materials, so
mm,
once I just made the meshes, they kind of just made them work on the objects. I did do some like baking and making masks to work
right,
with the materials, but I didn't really touch the materials much.
okay. Oh, I didn't click on your the third one here of the project.
And this one was just I just did the like dark goopy stuff. It was sort of an environmental way to tie the enemies into the environment, kind of like show their corruption and infestation.
Right, so their presence is
And
affecting the environment in that way.
yeah, and we also originally the enemies kind of spawned out of the ground, and once I made these, we worked them into the enemy spawning, which was really cool.
Oh, that is cool. So they would just like pop out of the dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, one of our tech artists just kind of animated it in Unreal to kind of like bulge and then
Right.
explode.
Dang, that's super cool. So were you just providing a mask so that they could control like that glowing, the emissive
I
just being ramped
no,
up, or
he just did it.
oh,
I don't know how he
interesting.
did it. He just kind of did it. Yeah.
Oh, it's really cool. This is like the interesting part about this is why it's like it's really nice to be part of a group building something together because this is
Yeah.
when multiple people coming together can actually do something a little bit crazier. Um,
Yeah, it was such a cool experience.
what was the like? I don't know if this is like. So this is Blender and ZBrush.
Yeah, I used a blender, some ZBrush.
Looks like you were decimating
Uh,
as well.
might be it for that. Yeah, I
Oh man,
used.
your references are. No, this is really cool. So okay, I guess what I'm seeing in your portfolio so far, before we look at the last two, is that you're showing a lot of sculpting, and you're showing a lot of like being creative in the way that you solve uh, the problems that you're coming across, or like the things that you need to solve, right? What I'm
Yeah.
not seeing is like texturing, which I'm assuming Stranded and maybe like the Reading Nook will kind of show, but like understanding your materials and just like the way you're modeling stuff, like we see that you can sculpt and we can see that you have like an understanding of like making a geometry lower resolution for game ready assets. So is there with this one? So this one's a year old, and this is one of the ones that you hit as well, right?
Yes.
Is there? Do you want to talk about what was the story with this one?
Yeah, so this I've been wanting to do some sort of beach scene for years. Probably since high school, I started doing like trials of different beach things. And then a couple years ago, I went to Cannon Beach and felt very inspired by the rock and
Mm.
the beach formations there. So I wanted to do some sort of like someone got stranded on some sort of expedition type thing and had to make a shelter out of the resources that they had. I kind of got I was working on this while working on Cyber's Ascent and the Reading Nook, so I had to decide what I wanted to spend more time on.
Right.
So I just kind of scaled this back a bit, which is why it's kind of not very propagated with like
Like it
storytelling
just
things, I guess.
okay. Yeah. Like it
Feels a
kind
bit
of feels
empty.
empty. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I ran out of time to do a couple things I wanted to do. Like for the sand, I went out and scanned a chunk of beach with footprints in it that I like kept walking back and forth to make different
Yeah.
trails or whatever. And then I wanted to mix that into a material to have some nice footprints.
Oh, so you could
I
build
didn't
like
get a chance to
pathing.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't get a chance to do that, so it's just like one picture of the footprints into sampler slash alchemist to make what is here, and
Mm-hmm.
this is the footprints and then more of a normal sand kind of mixed together in the terrain. So it looks decent from this angle, but from other angles it looks horrible because it's just like a picture
Right.
material.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it is
and
working, but like that's I guess where a lot of the complexity will come in, right? Is how far you can
yeah,
push the sand.
and then the boat in the background is unfinished. It's just kind of the block out. It's
Hmm.
actually the boat I was gonna finish with trim sheets, and then I got sidetracked and didn't do that project.
Right.
Um, so
I mean,
that's
that is
why I kind of hit this, is because it's just kind of unfinished.
right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, to like scratch the beach scene itch. I guess it's like if you were to scale it down to like the boat up close, and then you're doing the sand, and then you have like the just the boat deteriorating and having I don't know either barnacles or stuff that's growing on it, like just kind of from it being on the beach for so long. That seems like a really fun scene if you ever need to go back to making a beach scene. But
Cool. I've
yeah,
definitely thought about that. So just like a small diorama would be
yeah.
fine.
I mean, it really let you push your materials because that's the
Yeah.
thing that I'm not like. We haven't gotten to the last one yet, but that's where I'm like, oh, I want to see your understanding of materials. Like I was wondering why the this piece of wood was so weird, but now I understand that it's part of the boat, and I'm like, oh right, okay, yes, I understand now. um,
Yeah. It's supposed to be part of the ore.
yeah, yeah. And then it looks like the tent is also made out of one of the another ore and just pieces of wood, and then some rock
Yeah.
sculpting. This is when I look at the other rocks in your other scenes. This one's definitely better than the other ones. Thinking like large shape and then like
Mhm.
chipping away at it. I think the only way to really get good at rocks is to just do like 100 of them,
Yeah. I
and then
definitely need to do more rock sculpting.
you start getting used to like how the brush responds to the way that you move your pen or your mouse across the geometry, and then it just kind of clicks, I guess. And lots of reference and just understanding rocks in general. But
Yeah.
let's see here. The the fire pit I think is green wave in chat. Trim smooth border, bro. Let's go. Dude, I used the mallet brush a lot when I was in college. I don't know. I was freaking crazy with that. The soft mallet or the
I don't
was
think
it
I've tried
fast
out the
mallet?
mallet brush.
But man, it required so much because I was using a mouse. I didn't even want to use a tablet back then, so I was
Oh,
just clicking like crazy. Like if you ever look at my
that sounds
portfolio,
rough.
the what is it? The Hydralisk that's on my portfolio is done with a mouse, and you're like, why would you do that to yourself?
Wow.
Yeah. Um,
Like the people that paint landscapes with mice in like Microsoft Paint
dude. And then they look.
just to feel
It looks
something.
good. But the texturing here looks pretty good. I think one thing that you could do for pushing your surfaces is to look at how your roughness is between each material, and getting the
Hmm.
contrast between them is a really good way to kind of like call out the types of materials. Like the ore, for example, usually it'll have like a coating on it. I don't know how old it is, right? But like the coating that
Right.
kind of protects it, even if it's really like aged and damaged, that coating can be in spots and can kind of give you
Yeah.
the hint as like, oh, this used to be like actually manufactured versus just a piece of wood, and that ends up like coming through subconsciously to a lot of people, where they're just like, oh, I understand what this is. I figured it out after I looked at the sculpt because everything kind of blended in with the kind of ashy burnt material.
Yeah.
How did you end up sculpting that, by the way? That looks like some manual work.
Yeah. I think just damn standard, uh, normal brush with a square thing and probably trim smooth border.
Yeah. So just looking at
I
reference
don't
and just
remember.
trying to imitate the shapes you're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the ash material is a material from Substance Source, I
Mm,
think.
mm-hmm.
So I didn't actually make that, but I mixed it with just some wood and Substance Painter.
That's honestly is totally okay. I think a lot of people wonder if it's okay to be doing that with like using up materials that aren't technically ours. The reality is that's what they're there
Yeah.
for. You just turn it into what you need it to be, and as long as it looks good,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but yeah, I think you're right in the details you're talking about, where it's like the transition of the rock to water and the like cliffside to the sand, and then the closer rock element, and getting those to just have the smaller details or elements that kind of help blend them together is maybe the biggest thing missing. But
Yeah.
let's look at the final one here. So this one, you're going for like super realistic, where you're like pushing.
Yeah, this
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, this is just definitely the longest project I've ever done. One of the better ones. It still has some issues of being like a little too archivist and like neat and tidy, but
Mm-hmm.
I kind of was going for that a little bit because I was the idea for this project was uh, getting over the whole lockdown and everything. Wanted to make a space that I would enjoy chilling in, so it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like my own little reading nook that I wanted. So I didn't like dirty it up too much, but
No, that's
I
cool though.
realized that that also kind of hinders a little bit of getting a job in some ways. But
Well, I mean, so first of all, the scene looks pretty good. There's
thank you.
like the plant top left looks really nice, and there's specific elements that are really sticking out as like, oh wow, that's really well done. So the plant, for example, is one of them. The I think the little cactus thing looks really good as well. And then the other one is like the like, what do you call this? The
It's a papasan.
papasan. Dude, every time, man, I'm like, what is it? Oh yeah, and then I'm like, man, that is weird. Uh,
Yeah,
but
they're so weird. I don't
they
see
are
them ever
strange.
anymore. I just remember when I was a kid, my aunt had one.
Oh, they were everywhere when I was younger as well, but then they're just
Yeah.
like nowhere now. But like you, it looks like you did you make all of that in ZBrush, or what, like how did you, or is
So
it all
I
Blender? Or?
it's a mixture. I did the simulation in Blender, and then I took it into ZBrush to uh, make it less uniform. And
Right.
then the pillow is all Blender simulation.
Right. So you like inflated it and then had
Yeah.
like a mesh to simulate someone had sat on it or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
And then with your materials, I think this is where uh, it starts to look a little arc viz like you're talking about. Is like the surfaces
Hmm.
end up being really um, pristine or clean, and
Yeah.
getting those imperfections and like the variations in the roughness is what really pushes those over the top and starts to make the environment feel like it's more real. I mean, it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with this scene. It's just how do you turn it up? And I think the way to turn it up is currently through the materials.
Right.
So like, I guess I would wonder, like this top shot here, being able to see
Mhm.
it with just like the roughness. Like, what does all of the roughness look like? And like, what is like what does the metal map look like? Is there any metal in here? Maybe the side table. I can't tell
Yeah,
if
there's
that's
the
like
side
a
table
yeah.
legs and the lamppost.
Right. Okay. And then you've got some books here. Nice. Is that the entire Harry Potter collection?
It is.
And Dune's there as well. That's nice. I don't recognize this one though. What is that one? The Witcher.
Oh, those are the Witcher books.
Yeah. Oh, and The Martian. Nice. Yeah. So okay. So I think it's materials, man. This is totally an IKEA cup. But the attention to detail with like the rings, those
Yeah.
are like that's that's how you start to push stuff over the edge. Like I just got the first book of the Silo series or like trilogy, I guess you
Oh
should
yeah.
say. And the text on the book is reflective. So it's like if these were had like a gloss value to them, so that at like a certain angle the text on the surface of the book has like a shine to it. That could be a way to push the, and maybe it does and I'm just not seeing it from this angle. Like maybe
Yeah,
that,
I
yeah.
tried to do that. I think I just didn't get the lighting in the room right to kind of show it off.
Because now I'm seeing how dark this text is, and I think that only happens through roughness, unless that's really dark and this is quite gray. But yeah, it is really about the light angle and stuff. So, but generally speaking, like overall, this looks really strong. It's probably one of your better pieces now because it's showing a lot of the technicals behind what you're doing,
Yeah.
and so this isn't Unreal as well. So it is just about pushing like how do you make this feel more more real or like more like the surface is not as artificial. How do we dirty up the surfaces or like the ambient occlusion that's happening right now? Is this lumen or is this like
It's Unreal Engine 4, so it's just
it's four? Okay.
whatever uh
Oh, so
ambient occlusion it was. I
were
don't
you
know.
baking the lighting then or yeah?
Yeah.
Oh man, so this is baked lighting too. Okay. Man.
Took a hell of a long time.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say like that's pretty good, man. Considering like there's baking lighting is I think where I see it breaking is maybe this back wall bottom edge. It's a
Yeah.
little dark there, and I think it's just because the UVs of the light map are right on the edge of like the next pixel, so it's bleeding up by like one pixel over in your light map, which is super weird. Once you understand what's happening there, and then it's like, oh, everything just needs to be inside these grids, and then you're good. Um, but yeah, I think it's going to be roughness and just understanding your materials that you're trying to display. And detail normals, if you're not using those, use the hell out of those. They will give you so much extra detail for free.
Yeah. I think I started kind of using it on the chair, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, on like the
No.
fabric material, or
Yeah, sort of.
yeah, yeah, because that'll really push your surface detail and make things look higher res than they are. And yeah, that cup's dope. I like that cup. The like Polysocks is talking about it in chat, and it's like the material is really good on
Thank
it.
you.
Um, okay, so we
I really wanted to put like liquid and condensation water drops on it, but did not get to that. I
oh
started
man,
making the water drops in Designer, but
right,
didn't get it to like look right.
yeah, because I guess that would just be I mean, with the new substrate material stuff in Unreal, it would be really crazy. But you should be able to do that with just like a normal map and like a roughness being turned way down, so it's like really shiny where they're at.
Yeah.
Seeing those little steadies, like if you just did the table and then put some books on it and then a cup with the condensation on it, that alone, like you could just focus on those materials and that'd be really powerful.
Okay. I might do that as a material exercise.
Like, okay, so what's you said you were planning something else. What are you working on now? Or what are you planning to work on?
Yeah, so right now I am finishing up a small designer material, which is just the tile thing I was talking about, tile study. And then
Hmm.
after that, I'm planning on starting a larger environment. I wanted to do something. I started months ago doing little tests of making some grass. So I wanted to do something with more foliage and rocks to get some more practice sculpting, and
Hmm.
also making a rock tileable because of I was watching your stream probably a couple months ago where you were making the stone tileable for your all the stone bits,
Hmm.
um, and watching you set up, especially the area with the stairs and the water has been very inspirational. So I'm thinking about doing some sort of
Oh, like the with the
degraded
lily pads
temple
yeah.
type thing that might be flooded. Um,
Oh, that would be cool.
yeah. Have you seen Jonathan Gregory Bick's new post?
I have not. At least that doesn't ring a
It's
bell.
kind of, I can send it to you real quick. It's
Yeah,
kind of the not like visually tonally the vibe that I want to go for, but kind of scope wise and uh the components that he has in
yeah.
his
Oh, this is
breakdown
yeah, this is
of
super
like the
nice.
different assets. I wanted to do something similar,
Hmm.
like some rocks, some temple pieces, make something cool out of it.
Oh, this is really
Um,
nice.
yeah, so I haven't started like making anything for it. I've just started putting together a reference board and figuring out what component pieces I want to make.
Right,
So really like pre-production types thinking about it work.
right. Dude, crazy.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, I mean that sounds really cool. Because like
yeah.
what I'm seeing in your portfolio, or I guess I should say what I'm not seeing is like so pushing your materials so they can be a little bit hyper real. So when I say hyper real, it's like the things that are shiny are just a little shinier than they would be in real life, and the things that are really muted.
Mhm.
So you get that big contrast in the material types, um, and then just like showing your modeling and your materials on those models. A small scene, it doesn't have to be a huge scene, and just like pushing your showing basically showing your understanding of PBR materials, your modeling skills, and like just like the fully executed little diorama would be enough because you don't see a lot of that in the school stuff. It was just
Yeah.
sculpting or right, and it's when you started to work on your own things that you start to see the stuff that makes up what you're showing us is what you understand. So the more you can show us, not necessarily lots of images, but like showing us wireframe, showing us your textures, showing like a good render with the PBR and materials just singing to you. Those are the things that'll make it happen.
Yeah. Do you think I should try to do a smaller material study like you were talking about with maybe the table and some books, some other stuff before I do a larger outdoor scene, or should I just
I
go
mean,
for it?
it depends what you. So the outdoor scene you're talking about is very foliage heavy, right? So if you
Yeah.
really liked working on the plant, then that's like right up your alley. And then you're heading more towards being a foliage artist, I guess, if you want to say it like that. Um, you could do a little bit of both, I guess, if you wanted to like have the table like on like a porch, and then the porch is maybe like brick a brick porch that's just in the ground, and then grass is growing into it, then you get a little bit of both. That could turn into a lot of work really fast. So you got to be careful about how much you're mixing in. But I think
Yeah.
it's more about what is resonating more with you, because the one that's more interesting to you, you will dig into deeper, faster, and you'll go further, and you'll see the results you're wanting to see sooner. Usually when you're really engaged. I don't know. That's not really an answer. It's more of like go with what
No,
feels
yeah, it
right.
makes sense. I
But
do
both
want
of
to
those
get
would be
more
valuable.
into the organics and getting better at all the outdoor things.
Mm.
So I'll probably go towards that. But if I hit a roadblock, I might take a break and do a small material
Yeah, I mean, you have all the
study
props
with the
already
table.
as well. So it's just
Yeah,
like pushing textures. So it could be a good way to take a breather when the foliage stuff is becoming like, oh man, I've been at it for so long. I need to change it up.
yeah.
But cool. Did you have any other questions before I jump to the
Um,
next?
I've got a just like general portfolio question, I
Mm,
guess. Um, so if I go ahead and like rehide the things I had hidden,
hmm.
what do you think about having like the main portfolio default page, whatever, and then having a separate folder with like um, other art, but it's not necessarily portfolio stuff.
Right, but it's like just
So
stuff that you're
like
doing that's
just stuff that
creative.
I enjoy doing, like the two um, uh,
Yeah, the two physical stuff.
physical things.
Yeah.
Yeah, put those on like a separate thing so that they're not on the main portfolio that people would look at when I send them my link or whatever. But they could go find it if they want to see more about me, and I could put like my ceramics on there. And I did figure sculpting in school. I've got some nice figure sculptures.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, so what I would do, I would start putting this stuff up on your portfolio and put all the physical stuff at the end. And then
Okay.
once you hit a volume where it's like, yo, there's a lot here, then split it. Because if you split it early, it won't feel full. It'll feel like you've divided the few coins you have, if you want to say it like that.
Right.
So I wouldn't worry about how it's displayed, and just separate them by the order. So like all the physical stuff you can
Okay.
put at the bottom for now. And then
Cool.
yeah, once it turns into like scroll forever moment, or like where you have like, I don't know, two more rows of stuff, then it might be time to split it. But like the ascent stuff, for
Okay.
example, I feel like once you have one or two more environments, you could probably merge all three of these into one post,
Okay.
just to show like this is there's more volume there just with the single post, and it shows like
Yeah.
all the stuff you were doing without having to click on each one.
Okay.
But that I would leave for later, just because it'll make if you feel weird about your portfolio feeling small, then you wouldn't want to do that until you get a few more posts in.
Yeah.
It's more about
Oh.
your subconscious, like how it affects you personally, more so than like the display. But yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. So if you have other questions that are like, don't hesitate, I guess, to message me or poke the server.
Yeah, I will definitely. I've been sending the tiles I worked on a couple times. Been very helpful. When I start working on my larger scene, I will start trying to post more often.
Yeah,
Don't
at me
don't
on
do
the
it very
next
often.
tile. At me if you post the tile piece again, because then I can. I'm curious where you're at skill wise versus like 5 months ago.
Yeah, it's I mean, if do we have a quick moment, I could.
Yeah, just link it to me.
Let's see. Just a little up in critiques. Actually,
trying to figure out who is next in the. Oh, did you just at me?
Yeah, I just added you in a
Oh,
reply
there it
to
is.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, I was literally looking at this while I was eating. And
Oh,
I didn't
cool.
even register that it was you. So it's the reference and then your. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, see the noise surface that you've got going on in there in the normal?
Mm.
If you have a mask for this, you might be able to do that in a detail normal because then you'll get a higher
Oh, okay.
resolution effect from it. And I guess in your reference, did you see this in real life or you just find a photo of this?
Yeah, I saw it in real life. So I have a couple other pictures at different
Okay.
angles.
Yeah, so it'll be more about like understanding the surface because like your surface feels more grainy, even though it's smooth.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe it's just a matter of taking that grain and blurring it a little bit in Designer, because you still want to get that kind of wobbly variation and whatnot. But dude, cool. Yeah, that's coming out pretty nicely. Awesome. Okay, well, uh, we have a chat that we made for the portfolio review. So if you have any questions, just poke in there, or DM me. And when I get the portfolio split up, I usually drop them in that chat as well.
Cool.
And if you have any questions, just poke me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it was good talking to you and putting a
Yeah.
face and a voice to the name.
It's awesome to get to talk to you and get all of your thoughts on everything.
I almost never know what to say to that. Thank you. You're welcome.
I always feel like I should have more questions ready, and then I just
That's pretty normal. There's always that's why I'm saying like later if you have something else, just message me. It's fine.
yeah. In like 20 minutes, so many questions are gonna
You're
pop
like,
up.
oh. But all right, dude. I'll talk to you later then. Good to meet you.
So, good to meet you. Thank you very much.
Yep. Talk to you
I
later.
will talk to you some other time.
Yep. I'll be on the